लेकिन हम जैसे बुजुर्ग लोग हैं, 73 ईयर्स की हूँ मैं, कोई अलग लाइन नहीं है, कोई हमारे बैठने का इंतजाम नहीं है। कम से कम 65-70 साल के लोगों की अलग से लाइन होनी चाहिए। हम कहाँ जाएं, खड़े हो सकेंगे क्या 5 घंटा?
ये देखिए कैसे खड़ी है वो, चला जाता नहीं है पानी से। क्या करें, हमें हमारे पास पैसा खर्चने के लिए एक पैसा नहीं, इतने पैसे लेके हम बैठे हैं।
Hello and welcome to NewsClick, this program with real news. Today we have with us Professor C.P. Chandrasekhar, and we're going to discuss the recent step of the government of India to demonetize the 500 rupee and 1000 rupee notes, allegedly for stopping black money and terrorist activities, fake currency, etc. How does this actually square with the supposed aims of black money? Because as has been widely stated, a lot of this black money is held in dollar accounts, and therefore it's not really held, as it were, in bank notes with under the pillow or in the cupboard and so on. So how does this aim of black money control really square with what has been done?
Well, the way I'd see it is that, there are obvious assumptions which have been made, which I'm sure that even the government doesn't really believe. One, of course, is the assumption that you're talking about, the fact that the presumption is that black wealth, because it's not really an issue of black money, but because you're talking about the black economy, this substantially accumulated black wealth, that black wealth is in the form of not of gold or even fixed deposits or investments in real estate and so on, but really sits in the form of money. Currency notes, particularly even of denominations like 500 rupees, because you're talking about a black economy which is so huge. That would mean that there's notes buried across the country in order to be able to sustain that. The second assumption which is being made is that that whoever is generating this black money is not keeping the money going. I mean, the idea is that you make some black money, say you sell some property, you get yourself a certain amount of black money and you sit on it. That's not the way the black economy operates. So once you say that there are transactions which are taking place on the basis of black money as opposed to black wealth, then to the extent that you have money in circulation which may be originated as black or was black at some point of time in its life, that would have through transactions moved between the white and the black economy many times over. So if at all you're going to be able to think of anything which you can try and touch, if at all, it's really going to be an amount of currency, let us say, which has occurred as a result of very recent transactions. If somebody has just sold even maybe a DDA flat or something like that and has had to take a certain amount of the payment in currency, because that's how a lot of transactions take place, and has not yet put it into circulation, then possibly you're going to affect such people, but they might not be the principal holders of black wealth and the principal originators of black money in this economy.
That's an interesting point, that essentially who would be affected are those who quote unquote tend to hoard black money due to one-time transactions they might have made and then liquidate this over a period of time. But the big quote unquote black money or black wealth today is really foreign transactions, over invoicing, under invoicing, sending money out through Hawala channels. And as we saw, the Panama Papers show that there's a huge amount of there's a huge amount of wealth being stored in the so-called tax havens, which are also in circulation. They're also
sure.
not that they're hoarded over there.
That's an important component, but I would suspect that even the sort of rupee black economy and therefore rupee black wealth is quite substantial, and which hasn't actually been transferred to Swiss banks or to the Cayman Islands or wherever, and therefore we are really talking about, even if we talk about that, this is not a measure which is going to affect it. And I suppose that the second assumption which was sort of made was that the white 500s and the white thousands, in particular the white 500s, because if you take the informal economy, if you take an electrician or a plumber in the urban areas, a domestic servant, and who gets paid maybe 800 rupees a day, 1000 rupees a day, even 2000 rupees a day, and some who are paid 5000, 6000 rupees a month. they very often are paid in 500 rupee notes. All transactions, the fruit seller on the pavement has gone and paid cash in the morning in order to collect the fruits, and then accumulates cash till the evening and then goes back the next morning. And these people are sitting with, so I don't even know, these estimates we have, what about so many percent, 8%, whatever it is, and another 17% of these kinds of currencies, these notes in circulation, of the total currency in circulation, that this is actually held by people whom you are trying to hit, whether they be terrorists or the financiers of terrorists or black money holders. So what you've done is you've frozen the payments and settlement system in a part of the economy, which is a part of the economy which actually is not where these people whom you claim you're trying to touch sit. And therefore, this is an extremely regressive measure. It's actually a measure which is unconsciously or because you don't care, has actually hit these people. And I don't believe again that there was no inkling of this, that there was no inkling that this is going to create chaos, that just because you've set a whole process of transition till December 30th, that there isn't going to be a period of 2, 3, 4 weeks over which there's going to be complete chaos, and as I said, freezes the payments and settlement system in this part of the economy.
This is the part of the economy which is really the low end of the economic sector, which is the poorer sections who don't use credit cards, who don't use electronic transfers, and so on. So these are the sections
and whose transaction values in a day or in a week are not so large, and therefore, and 500 rupees, I mean, you're talking about, when the last time we had a demonetization, you were talking about 1,000 rupee notes at those prices. A 500 rupee note at today's prices is just absurd to think that you can actually target it as part of something which should be structurally targeted in terms of sectors of the economy transactions. You do something about registering properly prices of real estate, for example. So therefore, I think that this was just a dramatic gesture. This was hype, partly because of the failure of the earlier measure of trying to get people to actually voluntarily declare, paying the penalty, paying the tax, black money, and nothing much came out of it. Partly because this whole threat that you're going to bring back all this black money and put it into people's bank accounts hasn't worked. And partly because elections are coming. You just needed some kind of dramatic gesture, the hype typical of this government. And I think that they are so callous that they are not looking at the implications of it for a section of the population which is already at the margins.
So this is more in terms of what you're saying, managing the optics, that we are doing something about black money, hoardings going all over the country saying brave steps, congratulations to the PM and so on. So you really think that it's not that black money is being addressed, but it's really the media and the people who are being addressed.
And you throw in a little bit of corruption and terrorism for good measure,
Yeah, I'll come to this terrorist money or the fake currency issue which has been raised. Now, if you want to address fake currency, there's no need to freeze it for a day like we have done. We can actually change old notes over a period of time, and that will take out the fake currency.
Okay, so if you're talking about people who let's say are counterfeiting currency in large measure, and you tell them that, listen, okay, I'm going to get you to come and exchange. Obviously, they're not going to come. What do they lose? They lose the cost of production of counterfeit currency when they've already put currency at, and made a lot of money implicitly by putting in counterfeit currency, and they sort of retool maybe the same equipment and counterfeit the new currency. So I mean, there isn't even a loss of any significant measure other than
for them. So if the argument would be that there's a large amount of counterfeit currency going around, so we want to take them out of circulation. But for that, you don't need such a freeze. That can be done over a period of time.
And in any case, this is not going to prevent a new batch of counterfeit currency coming in once and I do think, for example, the reason they chose not to put out the 1,000 rupee note is not because of the fact that they had some. It's just that they are not even able to think of ways of generating very quickly 1,000 rupee note. So people are complaining that you go and you want to take out a certain amount of money from your bank account, And when you take it, you're getting 2,000 rupee note. And when you go to the market to do transactions, the only way you can do transactions if those people have 100 rupee notes to give you back or are willing to give up the few 500 rupee notes that they had. So even, even doing transactions. So as I said, this fruit vendor, if he's stuck with this 2,000 rupee note and he goes there, and he might have a problem, making his multiple choices of what he wants to buy from different sources. So it's completely, it's thoughtless, and it's shocking that the state of our nation is such that senior bureaucrats, top members of the central bank, that they can't actually put their foot down and say, listen, this is what, I don't know, sort of almost Tughlaqian measure, to do this kind of...
Tughlaq was quite imaginative. The first person in the world to introduce paper currency. I think it's wrong to call him by the way we do. This is really, it seems, a measure which is bereft of common sense,
absolutely.
if I may say so. The last point is that apart from the optics, there is also this other issue that there's 85% of the currency today which is in circulation is 500 rupees and 1,000 rupee notes. So doesn't it mean a huge dislocation?
It's 85% of the value. In terms of the percentage of votes, it's I mean not votes and notes. It's much smaller, but it's 85-86% of the value.
The total value of the cash in circulation.
Exactly.
So essentially you're trying to take out 85% of the cash value in circulation. Is that a huge dislocation?
Yes, and you obviously are not able to put it back in time, which is what I mean by saying you're freezing the payments and settlement system. So
it
has a contractionary effect, and that contractionary effect, I think, is the burden of it is regressive in terms of the distribution across segments of the population.
So it's going to fall much more on the
because the
lower
people who can do their electronic transactions and so on fall in a different category despite all this Jan Dhan accounts and so on.
The only other thing is that the realty companies seem to have suffered more, because that's one sector which is more sensitive to hoarded cash,
absolutely.
But apart from that, it has not really affected any other sector. Thank you, Chandru, for being with us, and hope to discuss these issues more with you as the time passes. We'll review this current measures and other measures the government is taking with respect to black money and see where it goes. Thank you very much. It's all the time we have for NewsClick today. Keep watching further episodes of NewsClick.